So I wanted to take a quick moment here just to talk to, this will be a separate video from everything else, but just talk to pins. So I've got a Kubota KX121-3, and I may say that frequently, but just for the reference, if this is a standalone watching, my name's Alan. I'm out here with my excavator building a road on my land. So again, for context. But last summer, and this is just talking through the story of it all, I was picking up that rock over there. It was actually that guy right there, and it really, I already had a failure coming, but that was when it finally broke. So I sheared this pin. So you can see here, maybe I need to throw it on the ground. These are usually, I feel like I'm now developing one of the videos I usually end up hating, because it's kind of like, hey, come on, get to the point, because maybe you're watching this just to know, what to do about replacing a pin on your bucket on an excavator. So I'll try to keep it briefer than maybe I'm making it so far. But these guys have a port. They go down the center of them here. And then it actually sheared right at where the grease port comes to send grease down each direction of the pin. So if I had it sitting like this, it's actually right here is where the grease would be coming out of the pin and moving left and right to lubricate the pin in relationship to the arm of the excavator. What happened to me was, first, this guy came loose, came out, and I think it started to prevent, of course, it's an old excavator. It's kind of, it's had a life. It's got over 6,500 hours on it. So, there's some wear. There's definitely some probably over greasing that's been done. A lot of that may be on my part, but just trying to anticipate the comments. But this guy here, it came loose, and so then this allowed this piece, of course, to start spinning. And the biggest problem with all of it that it came down to was right here, this face, the face where there is the grease port on the inside here. You can kind of maybe tell this face, it had really gotten smashed in. And because of how smashed it in, I couldn't get the grease gun onto the grease port. And so I was not applying grease to this pin. And I had not been applying grease to it for weeks, which, as we all know, is not a good idea on a piece of equipment, especially an excavator where these guys are moving on an almost continuous basis. You're moving these pins. So what eventually happened was this thing started spinning, and I noticed it spinning, and I just let it spin. But of course it was spinning because it needs to be restrained either to the bucket or to the arm, which of course the choice here is restrain it to the bucket, and so then it can spin in relationship to the arm. But it was kind of spinning any which way, and then of course it built up enough friction in there that it was grabbing it, so that as it's spinning, portions of it, probably because there's little, I want to call them races, but bearing surfaces that are in there. This is actually the bearing sticking out here. It's moving around in there because I think that arm is kind of slopped out a little bit more than it should have. But they were probably sticking, which maybe of course led to more of that slop on the inside. And then once they, enough, that's what put that torque or torsion on the onto the pin itself. So it sheared, and when it sheared, of course, then the bucket fell off, and I think it was on the process of breaking, which, again, dummy me, I could tell something wasn't working right. But I have a bad habit of not wanting to stop the job. When I'm working, when I'm progressing, when I have a goal in mind, I want to push through problems. I want to push through an error like this, particularly out here on the farm when, if you know how it is, sun setting, yada yada, you just want to try to get through the job. And so as I did that, the bucket was actually bending, and maybe I didn't notice how that was happening, but because the pin broke, the bucket actually was bending as the pin was starting to liberate itself out because it was cracked in the middle. So then my bucket bent, and that's where I had to go. And I didn't own one of these, and if you want to get into it, you're going to spend about 500 bucks. But I got this little portable torch, which then this guy helped me to, I used it to then heat up the bucket to a temperature that the metal would move, and I could take then like a ball peen hammer, or I didn't have a sledge. I think I had just a sledge hammer, and I knocked it back into place so then I could put the pin in. So that was of course the acetylene and the oxygen, buying those, the tanks came with the kit, but I wanted extra tanks because I wanted enough fuel sources to actually make sure I got through the job. Those tanks are expensive, so total, I mean, you gotta get gas in them. I think I had to get, I forget if I had to get new containers as well, but that was a purchase that was required, was getting that. Of course, I had a lot of the other tools already built up for the job, but I needed something, of course, to knock the pins through and then to knock the pins in. Now, what's nice is you can use these guys, once you have one broken, you can use it as the next pin to help you drive it in. Because of course you're not gonna, I put like a piece of wood on that surface, because again, I don't want to do the same thing where I hammer it in so much that I bend this in and I can't get to that grease port. So I used a piece of wood to help absorb the impact, so I wouldn't, like I say, damage this face on that pin, which it looks like I may not be able to get, my grease port on there, but I can, my grease gun on there, onto that port, because that's really just dirt and stuff that I can get cleaned up. So anyways, that's my little story and experience of having a pin break on me. Mostly I think it's just because it wasn't lubricated. It didn't have the grease on it, and that's on me, but maybe a lesson to be learned there is make sure you keep them greased. And I've seen videos, there are some YouTube videos of guys who they manufacture these things for themselves, which is quite impressive. I don't have a machine shop, and I don't know someone who has a machine shop, but it would be nice, because this pin did come out to be $115. So this, if you go and order this from Kubota or somewhere like that, you're gonna be paying a lot of money for it. So I mean, it's expensive equipment, it's commercial equipment. I mean, it's built to really put up with people like me operating on, I guess, right? Who are gonna run them hard and break them. But anyways, like I say, it's the cost of doing business in a way, but this is also a operational cost that could have been avoided, maybe. Although the other hand is, it wasn't greased because I couldn't get a grease gun on it. There might have been something I could have done to still get down into that grease port and provide grease to it. I don't know. Maybe it was something that was just gonna happen eventually, and I just had to live with it. But that's how I went through the process of getting it fixed, was buy a new pin, get this pin out, knock the bucket back by heating it up enough that the metal would move, and then putting in the new pin. And when I was through that successfully, I was pretty proud of myself. So anyways, hope this video has been helpful, and this is the end of pin repair on a small Kubota excavator.